Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Fasting is obligatory upon every Muslim, man or woman, provided that person is sane, is mentally balanced, is healthy mentally, provided that person is not a traveler. Fasting is compulsory upon any Muslim who has attained the age of maturity, whether they are girls or boys, they have attained the age of poverty. This category of Muslims, fasting has become compulsory upon them, and they can only be excused if some conditions arise. For example, some Muslims are exempted from fasting indefinitely. When I say indefinitely, I mean until the end of their lives, until they die, they're not going to fast. Some are exempted temporarily, which means if the conditions that actually permit them to break their fasting or to stop fasting cease to exist, then they have to fast again and repay those days that they have not fasted because of the conditions in which they found themselves. Now, I will explain to them one after the other. If somebody is sick and the doctor says he cannot actually continue fasting, he has to break his fasting to take medicine or some injections that need somebody to be strong, somebody to eat food, then that person has to break his fasting, even if it is only 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the end of that end of that fasting. So we have to obey what the doctor says. Or there's no doctor around, but you have realized that you can't bear the scorching thirst and the pangs of hunger, because if that happens, you may actually lose your life. So what you're going to do is to break fasting and eat and drink until you are well, and then you are counting the number of days which you have missed because of your sickness. Then you pay back at the end of Ramadan. This kind of leverage, this kind of break is called temporary break. It's not permanent. It ceases to exist as soon as you get well. So sickness can cause somebody to break his fasting, or not even fast. Traveling. A traveler or somebody who has embarked on traveling during the Ramadan, he has the liberty, he has the excuse, he has the freedom to not to fast, which means he will count the number of days in which he has embarked on traveling and the number of days he spent in the town or country he has traveled to, and when he comes back after Ramadan, he will pay for the number of days which he has missed because he was a traveler. This is also not permanent, it's a temporary excuse. Similarly, if somebody is pregnant, now this is where the problem is. A pregnant woman. A pregnant woman has two conditions. If the pregnancy is the cause of her sickness, which means the fetus in her is the one that is sick, and that she must eat and drink and not fast so that the baby will be able to survive, or the fetus will be able to survive, then that's another case altogether. If, on the other hand, she is the one that is sick and she can't actually fast because of sickness, maybe she has high fever or terrible headache or migraine, and that she must take her drug. Maybe she has high blood pressure, she must take her drugs, or she has sugar, she must take her drugs. This kind of sickness that can kill easily, or any other temporary sickness that comes actually with intense. Such a person must stop fasting and take the medications so that she will get better. Now, where she is the one who is suffering from the sickness, then when Ramadan actually passes and she gets better, she will now have to pay for the number of days she was sick. Plain repayment. But if she stopped fasting because the fetus in her was the one that was sick, then she has to pay back the fasting and then feed an indigent. Feed one mudu of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is according to Malikiya school of law. All the Sahabas that were in Medina, this is what actually was their own custom, their own madhab after the Prophet Muhammad has actually left the world. Similarly, if a nursing mother is sick, she has to break her fasting because she is sick. Now, if the sickness is only for her, she's the only one who is sick, the baby is well, then after Ramadan she will pay the number of days she was sick. But if she broke her fasting because her baby is sick and there's need for her to eat food to give the baby enough milk to survive, such a person will now break her fasting because of those circumstances. But after Ramadan, she's going to pay the number of days she was in that condition that made her to break her fasting because her baby was sick, and then she will also feed one mudu of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is according to Malikiya school of law. You may find another interpretation somewhere, but as far as Malikiya school of law, this is actually the teachings. If a woman is menstruating, she is in her monthly period and blood is gushing out of her, now she is on holiday of her prayers and fasting. As for the prayers, Allah has forgiven her. She was not going to prepare the number of prayers she missed. Allah has forgiven her. But as for fasting of the month of Ramadan, she has to pay for the number of days she was in that state of bleeding. Fantastic. Now, this type of holidays, they are not permanent, they are temporary. In addition to a woman who has just given birth, she's suffering from what is called postnatal bleeding or postpartum bleeding, or people call it post-delivery bleeding or perinatal bleeding. All these kind of bleedings, they are all temporary because they cease with time. The woman actually get healed and she will now go back to her normal Islamic duty. Now, you find that the sick who cannot fast, the pregnant traveler who has taken to the concession given to him by Allah not to fast, the pregnant woman who could not actually fast because of the trouble she has, maybe excessive vomiting or excessive drooling, she can't fast. She needs water, she needs food to be strong so that the fetus in her will not die. The breastfeeding mother also can actually stop fasting The nursing mother, she has to also stop fasting. 6 category of people, in addition to one who was struck by severe hunger and thirst, very intense hunger and very intense burning thirst. And he realized that if he continues, he may die in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So he has to break his fasting immediately, eat and drink so that he will survive. Now, these 7 categories of people that I have just mentioned above, their cases are all temporary, and they must make up the number of days they have missed during the fasting of Ramadan, after Ramadan. However, there are those who are permanently excused, permanently exempted, permanently on holiday until they die. They will not go to fast forever. Who are these people? A mentally deformed, with salinity due to old age. Somebody maybe has reached the age of 90 years, 90, 80 years, over 100 years, and has forgotten everything. If you ask him what's his or her name, he or she cannot actually remember. Such persons are on holiday permanently until they die. They're not going to fast. For the remaining number of days or remaining number of years, they are going to live. Allah has forgiven them forever. Now, these are the categories of people. 10 categories of people. 7 their own exemption is not permanent, it's temporary exemptions. And the 3 their own is permanently exempted. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestow on us good health and sustain our health such that we will worship Him until our last breath. Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikh, what is the punishment prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a healthy living person that refuses to fast?
If a Muslim healthy person living in his own city, a traveler, not sick, strong, agile, and refuse to fast, then such a person has 2 conditions. Let's take this one separately, because it will be long.